Hey loves, it's Brittany Taylor, and in this video I'm going to talk about the North Node in the first house and the South Node in the seventh house. So the North Node in the astrology chart shows the point where the soul is going. These are the qualities that the soul has really come to learn to master and embody, but what may feel like a little bit of a stretch or a little bit uncomfortable or even downright scary, because the North Node is always directly opposite the South Node, which shows our ingrained habit patterns, what comes naturally easy for us. But if we stay there, it gets stagnant. Things get hard. Things don't feel like they're flowing because we're not growing. It's like lower self versus higher self. Although we don't really need to totally abandon the qualities of the South Node, because it does show our natural giftedness. It shows qualities that we just naturally have, and we have them so much. And, we actually are very gifted in these areas. So it's really about integrating them to a higher frequency, understanding what they are, understanding what their negative points maybe are, and then using that natural energy to help us go forward to our North Node. So with this placement of North Node in the first house, it shows that the biggest area of life for these people to develop is their sense of self. And it shows that in past lifetimes and in this present lifetime, the all too natural response is to people please, and maybe like I just get the image of cowering down and letting the other people speak up when maybe they had something to say too, or letting the other people go first while they'll just stay back and watch, even though they want so badly, because there's this desire to be center stage. There is this feeling and knowing that their unique self is special and important, but then at the same time it feels terrifying to actually do things for the self, or to actually stand up for the self. Even this point can really show that the person can have a hard time with boundaries, because the South Node is in the seventh house. So it's like the person has spent more time being so wrapped and enveloped in these kind of bonds of codependency or even toxic relationships, to a certain extent, that they almost, it takes a little bit for them to even get their footing and realize that they even have a self. And that might sound extreme, but it's truly how they feel. They truly feel in a lot of cases that the needs of others are more important than their own, or the energies of others are a lot stronger than their own, and they have this tendency to really see themselves as other people see them. So if other people are seeing them negatively, then they feel bad about themselves. If other people are seeing them positively, then they feel confident and positive. But that is not healthy. That shows people pleasing. That shows fawning. It's a really difficult position, and that's why I wanted to talk about this one first, because I feel like it is truly one of the more difficult positions, as far as house placement here. I mean, the North Node in any position is always difficult, because it's showing, what's unnatural to us, but what we must do because our soul is pulling us forward. And our soul is not always pulling us forward to the most comfortable, easy path. It's pulling us forward to the path of soul growth that we chose and signed up for. So with this one, it's really important for the person to ask themselves regularly, who am I? What do I desire? And that might even be hard to get an answer, because they're so used to taking on the desires of another person and feeling it as if it was their own. But the exercise for them to really figure out who they are and what they want is to try to imagine just pulling off everybody else's energy out of their field, okay? And just really tuning within, going into their own heart and asking, who am I? What do I truly desire? What am I truly gifted at? What is my purpose? So taking it a step further and asking, if nobody's else's opinion around me was entering my consciousness in any way at all, then what would I do? Right? Like, taking a moment to actually distance yourself from the energies of other people, okay? Pulling yourself out of their energy, because there's that tendency to become enmeshed with people, either from the family or the romantic partner or the associates. It's basically all relationships. Just this person gets just wound up like this. So pulling themselves out of that, pulling out their energy and asking, okay, if none of these other people had a say, if I was just fully on my own, in my own heart center, in my own soul, then what would I do? What would be my next step? What do I really desire then? And this is going to take some practice. But the other thing that can happen with this is when the soul starts activating and when they start realizing, oh, I'm a people pleaser, or oh, I'm an overgiver, or oh, I'm too enmeshed with other people. There's this tendency to, and this happens with all the North Node and South Node placements, by the way, where it's like one extreme to the other. You'll see this dynamic playing out in people all the time, where they're either like total South Node, and then, you know, they have some sort of activation, and then they go total North Node and they just ditch the South Node, but it's actually in an unhealthy way. It's actually kind of a coping mechanism. It's actually kind of like they've just springboarded against that South Node right to the North Node. So there's no integration, there's no balance. I don't teach that. I think that we have to integrate it first. We have to integrate those qualities. We have to fully embody those qualities of our South Node in a healthy way, and then use them to help us go to our North Node, not just totally abandon the South Node to the North Node. But what can happen with this one when they do that abandoning of the South Node is that then you've got this hyper independent person who won't listen to anyone and maybe is chronically single, like won't have a partnership at all because they're just like, nope, not doing that, when actually they're so good at it, but they've just had this realization, oh, I become enmeshed in that, or oh, you know, I'm too giving, or oh, I need to focus on myself right now. And then so they go from one extreme to the other, where they're just like total self-reliant, total even trying to be selfish, but it comes out in an unselfish way. Even they're almost incapable of total selfishness, I feel like, with this placement, but they can be hyper independent, where then they're not listening to anyone. They're not, it's like they either are fully in their South Node and they're just having no opinion of their own, and they're just totally sucking it all in from the other person, and they're just like spitting that back out as if it's their own opinion, or they're not listening to a damn thing anybody else is saying, and then they're just fully doing it on their own, you know, fully just feeling like I'm the only person who's there for me, and I'm just gonna totally do it on my own and not listen to anyone else. And then that's not healthy either. So it's like about learning a balance of give and take, and, you know, reciprocity, or what's that word? you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, it's about learning that for these guys, and it's not an easy thing to learn, right? And it definitely takes some time, but the potential for this one is that they can be the people that are truly amazing at relationships. They can be the truly supportive friend, and then they can also be the hero of their own life. Once they actually learn to develop self-confidence and knowing who they are, they can help others who are going through similar figure out who they are, because they do have this great ability to truly listen to people and to truly understand other people. And so they can actually be these truly gifted people in a relationship where they just, you know, they're really great at marriage, they're really great at all types of relationships, business, and, you know, they're just that extremely lovable person. And once they develop that sense of self, they can really help other people in doing the same thing, because that's something that's just so hard for them. But when they finally develop that selfishness, that healthy selfishness, and that self-esteem, and that warrior spirit where, you know, they're going to listen to themselves, they're going to follow their own path, even if it's hard, they become the hero of their own story, and they become this incredibly magnetizing influence, because yeah, they have that natural way with people, but then now they have their sense of self too. So they become these truly beautiful, gifted, amazing people that you just love to be around. So I hope that was helpful. And maybe one more thing I'll say is, yeah, past lifetimes, they're used to marriage, partnerships, and being with other people so much that there's some part of the life maybe they are meant to be single and just kind of figure out who they are for a bit, but not like, I wouldn't say that North Node in the first house is meant to be, permanently single or anything, but I think that having a good phase of aloneness and having a good phase away from the family of origin, having some time away from the friend group and associates, and that is all very good for them. That's all very productive for them, because the natural response is to be totally enmeshed with people. So it is good to have some alone time, but obviously they are so gifted at relationships that they won't stay away for long, and they shouldn't, because I don't think that they should go to just a total abandonment of the South Node. It's about integrating it in a healthy way. So hope that was helpful. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. I do offer astrology sessions, specifically 2 sessions that I do. I do a soul purpose chart reading, and then I also do synastry chart comparisons between 2 people's birth charts for soulmates, karmics, all of it. I love doing it. So I'll put my links in the bottom here. Thanks for watching, you guys, and talk soon.